Okay, so I just got back home. I literally just walked through the door like 5 minutes ago, let's say. And I actually got word that there was a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list, so I just literally had to stop everything I was planning to do just to go see this, record my reaction, and then I gotta upload this to YouTube. I mean, it's sort of like become a tradition at this point every time the TCG has a new ban list update. Funnily enough, I actually got to get some predictions in, even though I haven't been playing too much of the actual current Yu-Gi-Oh! Format. I was mostly just, especially like last week, I was just basically only really playing Chef of Destruction with the Cartel rebalance. Yeah, Cartel being like somebody who made like a patch that just basically a ROM hack that just makes Chef of Destruction a lot more tolerable. I spent like the past week, most of my time the past week just playing that. But before that, I did have some time to get in some banlist predictions. This was also in response to one of many of Speedster Duelist's hypothetical ban lists that always just missed the mark for one reason or another. So I responded to one of his crazy ban list takes with something more reasonable. So these were the predictions I sort of came up with on the fly. And I'll do my best to explain each one. Agito and Kelbeck, whenever these are sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you get to mill 5 cards. There's like additional effects with Agito and Exchange of the Spirit, like thus letting somebody mill like another 5 cards. But that usually never really comes up. People aren't really going out of their way to play Exchange of the Spirit if getting to mill 5 is just plenty enough already. Same goes for Kelbeck. I don't know why the hell I put Wandering Griffin Rider here. Maybe I'm just guessing that Konami is going to actually do something about the Brave Engine, even though they really don't need to do anything about the Brave Engine anymore. People aren't really playing it that much anymore. Don't really need to hit Griffin Rider, but I feel like hitting it now might just be a Konami move. Hot Red Dragon, Archfiend, King Calamity. Okay. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, King Calamity? Yeah, some of these names are just stupidly long for no good reason. When this card is synchro summoned, you can activate this effect. For the rest of this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects on the field. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effect in response to this effect's activation. I'm gonna just stop reading there because the problem with this is that it's just being summoned on the opponent's turn. So remember, like one time at locals, I just lost 2 out of Virtual World because my opponent was able to just 2 games in a row power out 2 level 12 synchros with. Yeah, Virtual World is pretty good at that, so not too surprised to see that just start trying Calamity Lock. And on the second game, he even had a Baron de Fleur to back him up in case, I don't know, maybe had a Nibiru or an Imperm for the Crimson Dragon. So even if I had like one interruption, unless maybe I was still playing Super Polymerization, which I wasn't at the time, Baron de Fleur would have negated that anyways, and I still would have been SOL. And also, there's another deck that's able to reasonably pull this off with just actually multiple 1-card starters. Centurion, realistically, from what I've heard, only really needs like 1 card to get its combo going, which often just ends on this because it's just such a game-warping effect. I think either Primera or Trudea, one of the two, is just enough to get you from, of course, the Centurion you normal summoned all the way to summoning this on the opponent's turn, and then they can barely do anything on their 1 turn they're going to have before they just get their ass clapped the next turn. I don't know, I haven't been playing too much Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately. But yeah, one of these 2 cards apparently can just get somebody all the way to the Calamity Lock. Assuming, like, they don't run into any hand traps along the way, of course. I don't know when Bonfire's gonna come out. It's like a card that lets you search for a level 4 lower Pyro, which that's just another way to get to Trudea, and thus another starter for the Calamity Lock. Yeah, they also have to Synchro Summon this and some other level 12 Synchro. From what I've heard, this deck doesn't really have any problems doing that unless it gets hand trapped or something like that. So that's why I'm predicting, I don't know, this is gonna get banned. It's just not fun to have to play against a card that literally doesn't really let you play at all. And similarly for Eradicator and Harpy's Featherstorm, I mean, this isn't always guaranteed to go and, like, blow out your opponent, but I mean, it has happened, like, actually in a YCS. This was, like, a game that was, like, that happened live on one of Konami's official events. Somebody opened all spells, their opponent played Eradicator, called spells, and just like that, Before there was even a game, the game was over. And Harpy's Featherstorm. Granted, I think the reason that this isn't banned, and maybe it could still just keep on dodging banlist, is because only decks that can reliably summon winged beasts can actually make use of this, and that's both like an attribute and a type that are pretty underrepresented. Yeah, because even still, like, just about any deck could just easily throw 3 Fenrir in just to make the deck better. This card just does so much even by itself, even without the rest of the Kashtira archetype. You're just summoning a monster for free, getting said card, getting like said card back, basically just searching up another copy for free. Even if you summon it going first, you have like a piece of interruption to screw over your opponent when they try and follow up with their turn, and going second, that's just a really good way to break a board. I don't know, one of my friends really just wants to see Harp Horror come off the list, and I feel like me too, just looking at that card. Pretty underpowered, underwhelming compared to some of the shit we've seen in 2023, and not to mention, there's only like one Bestial that got limited, the rest of them are just free to roam around at 3. The other 2 Dragon Rulers, because, yeah, Tempest was off the list for a while, and Blaster came off pretty recently, and the Dragon Rulers broke the game in 2013. Game has probably changed too much in like the past 10 years for it to really matter at this point. I don't know, I'm thinking, okay, why did I just predict that Meow Moo would come back? I just felt like maybe it should, because this was actually put to 0 to get the Brave Engine under control, for what I remember. To actually get Prank Kids under control, they actually just outright made the deck unviable because they want to keep like selling the Brave Engine. I don't remember exactly why I put this here, I just felt like maybe it's not as powerful as some of the other like banned cards that are currently banned. Lightning Storm, Pot of Prosperity. Yeah, I feel like these cards that were just reprinted in the Rarity Collection at basically every rarity, making them much more available than they used to be. So now, yeah, now Konami can't really print new products with these as chase cards anymore, so I feel like now's going to be the time that both are going to get put to 1. Yeah, this is the purely quick play that just lets you go and, like, draw 1 card. Like, well, lets the Excuse monster that has this attached draw a card. But what I've seen, like, people do is just attach 2 or sometimes even 3 Sleepy Memories to, like, E Purely Noir or something. Activate her effect on standby phase, draw 2 or 3 cards, depending on how many of these they have attached. Play the Purely Eep trap card, tag it out into X Purely Noir, activate the X Purely Noir effect to, again, draw another 2 or 3 cards. Like, yeah, this card should be at 1, in my opinion. Sure, you have to jump through quite a few hoops, and only one deck can really do it, but yeah, like, any sort of setup that lets you draw 4, God forbid, 6 cards. Yeah, this should be put to 1, in my opinion. Runic Fountain, I don't know, I mean, I still have, like, pretty good luck beating the deck, but I don't know, maybe just a lot of people in general want to see this at 1. Dimensional Barrier, in fact, I'm just predicting that maybe eventually this will also get slapped with the Forbidden status as well. But maybe just for now it'll be put to 1, and eventually it'll just get put to Forbidden. Yeah, because this is a card that against certain decks, it could just simply prevent them from even, like, playing the game at all. For example, Branded was also, like, apparently supposed to be balanced around the fact that it can only, like, extra deck summon, like, fusion monsters the turn it uses Branded Fusion. Sure, the card is still extremely powerful, but just to make it, like, quote-unquote fair, Branded Fusion locks you into only, like, summoning fusions out of the extra deck for the turn. And this card especially punishes Branded, basically by design for trying to be fair. Yeah, because I've heard, like, people complain about tier elements, like, they don't lock you into fusions. You could just put them, like, into a deck and then still be able to go and play whatever else you want in that same deck. I've heard people, like, complain about tier elements, like, it needed a fusion lock, some people even said. Branded has a fusion lock to sort of balance it out, and then cards like Dimensional Barrier that just completely lock a player out of special summoning one type of extra deck monster. Or if for some reason you need to call rituals, there's that too. If that ever even comes up anymore. Yeah, so basically D-Barrier just punishes decks like strategies like Branded, which are designed to like lock you into fusions, I don't know, to be fair. And then just some cards that are gonna like eventually come off the list. Mind Control. This is just a strictly worse version of Change of Heart, and it's still at 1 somehow. It doesn't need to be. I don't even see anybody playing Mind Control in the first place. Cyberjar can destroy like almost on the field and give people a bunch of cards, but I don't know, flip effect's bad, so maybe this can eventually come off. Same for Morphing Jar, but it still might be a bit of a stretch, letting both people draw 5. Sekka's Light. You pretty much cannot run any other spells and traps if you want to actually effectively use Sekka's Light. It's a draw 2, but you can't have any other spells or traps in your graveyard to actually resolve this thing, and I've seen nobody try and even play it at 1, so I really feel like this card is gonna just eventually have to come off the list entirely, but for starters, it goes to 2. This card got an errata that made it way more fair than its previous incarnation. It's at 1 still for some reason. Might as well just put the Fairy Dragon back to 3. And now let's actually see the list. So my Agito prediction was right. Let me guess, if I scroll a bit further down, I'm going to see Kelbeck? Oh yes, Kelbeck too. So we're just going to axe both the mill 5 Ishizu cards. Yeah, apparently... I still can't believe I thought, like, at one point Tear Elements was just, like, done and dead. But then, like, its biggest competitor, its biggest competition, its biggest threat to, like, being viable, Kashtira Riseheart, was banned. So no longer did the best deck just have, like, a consistent way to access Macrocosmos on a pretty strong body that also provided some additional disruption on top of just, you can't use your graveyard. So with Riseheart out of the way, yeah, Tear Elements was able to mount a comeback and sort of become problematic again to a point where Konami again has to address the deck by hitting, yeah, the 2 cards that each of them both let you mill 5, in other words. What? MathMech isn't even, like, breaking the format! Okay, Maxi is... At least Maxi is still there. Wait. Oh, I gotta go tell Skewer that I think finally Orcus Harpor has come off the list. I gotta go let him know. Why is MathMech Circular forbidden, though? Since when did MathMech go and, like, completely break the game? I thought this being at 1 was, like, okay enough. I thought for sure that was still down the deck, but I don't know, just leave it to Konami to pull a Konami move. What other, like, batshit insane stuff we're gonna see on this forbidden list here? Isol 2. Oh, okay. I know what this is. Infernoble Knights with, like, the new wave of support from Duelist Nexus actually became a pretty competent deck. And this was, like, just... This was, like, a key card in actually just starting most of the combo lines that really made that deck as good as it is, but... Okay, I've barely even played that much since Duelist Nexus. I've never played Infernoble Knights, so I'm probably not the best to really comment on this. I just know this is good in Infernoble Knights, and I guess that's why it's banned. To try and curb the power of that deck a bit. Okay, Dryden is still banned. Wonder if I could get something stupid like Pot of Greed off the list. Okay, so far, that's 3 forbidden cards. No, 4 forbidden cards. Why Circular, though? I can't even recall the last time I ran into somebody playing MathMech, and now, I don't know. Do we just give up playing MathMech entirely at this point? I've never even tried. I put together, like, half a deck, like, a year ago or something, and just... I don't know, I never really got used to the playstyle of anything other than, like, going second Gren Machu OTK. Yeah, so now I feel really silly for getting half a MathMech deck and just kind of sitting on it. Who's gonna try and play MathMech without Circular? Who's even gonna try that shit in 2023, 2024? Finally! Not that I, like, even, like, play Orcus or have cared about the deck, I just felt like, I don't know. This card is nowhere near as game-breaking as it was in, like, I don't know, 2019, 2020 when it came out. Because just, yeah, like, the general, like, power level of decks has just really gone up in the past 4 years. So it should be fine to bring Harp Aura back. In fact, it should have been fine to bring it back, I don't know, like, maybe even like when the Bestials came out, and all the way back in Darkwing Blast, so about a year ago. Because people are playing a lot of those. People are playing a lot of those, also assumably to counter Tearlaments still. Yeah, this probably should have come off the list, like, not too long after the Bestials came out, to be honest. And Redox, that's one of the Dragon Rulers. What about Tidal? One of the Unchained cards got put to 1. A deck that I've been struggling against every time I've seen it since I got a bunch of new support in Duelist Nexus. One of the Rescue Ace monsters. I think I faced against that deck like just a handful of times. Sun Avalon, Dryas, and Sunvine Healer. Is Rika Sun Avalon really still a problem? I don't know, maybe they play Cactus Bouncer, and because I play a bunch of monsters of different types, or obviously Warlords also just fucking destroys me. But is that deck really a problem? Ib the World Chalice Justiciar? I don't remember what she does. I wish I could tell you. Snatch Steal. Snatch Steal is back in the game. Interesting. I'd ask like why Snatch Steal is in the back in the game. I mean, I know Change of Heart is in the game. Okay, I just figured I'd go check for Mind Control, and it doesn't seem to be like in the limited section anymore, and clearly didn't see it in Forbidden either. Is also Sleepy Memories seriously still like at least at 2 or 3? So completely missed the mark on my like Sleepy Memory prediction. That's apparently like not gonna come true. I'd ask like why Snatch Steal is coming back into the game, but no, I would really rather ask like why is Circular forbidden? I'm only mainly asking this because I have like half a Math Mech deck laying around thinking maybe one day I'll play this, but nope, not anymore. Okay, just putting all the floodgates to 1, I see. There can be only 1. Okay, at least Rivalry is at 1. Yeah, at least Rivalry got put to 1. Yeah, if you're gonna put this to 1, also put like the reverse Rivalry of Warlords to 1, just to be fair. And Goes and Match to 1. Dino Wrestler Pankratops to 2. Oh, Sleepy Memories at 2. Although maybe eventually, if it's still problematic to see this at 2 copies, maybe we'll see it go to 1. Okay, so I guess I was like half right about the Sleepy Memory prediction. It got hit, but didn't go all the way to 1 copy, just 2. I don't even remember what the hell this card is. I couldn't tell you. I think I played against the Speed Ride deck exactly once. And Pankratops, I'd say it's like a worse version of Fenrir, but it really does depend on the situation overall. If it's worse or if it's better. But yeah, for what I can imagine, Fenrir is still at 3. I mean, otherwise I would have seen it for sure by now. Lightning Storm's still at 2, and Product Prosperity is still obviously gotta be at 3, and... Upstart Goblin is finally... Pot of Desires is off the list entirely! Not that I'm really trying to play Grand Maju anymore, but... Pot of Desires is still, like, inherently balanced around the fact you're only really to play, like... You can only really play, like, I don't know, 1 copy of it per turn anyways. So if you play, like, 1 copy of Desires, and God forbid you draw into, like, 2 more copies of Desires, then you've just completely whiffed. Yeah, I've been saying it, like, over and over again. This card is at least somewhat balanced around the fact that you can't just, like, keep on playing, like, all your Desires, like, the same turn. And realistically being able to resolve 3 is, like, not really gonna happen. You'll just lose too many cards out of your deck to even do that. This card probably could have just come to 3 a while ago. Mind Control, also not surprising if they're just gonna let like a strictly better like version of Mind Control back into the game. Kashtira Unicorn also no longer on the list. Inferno the Archfiend. I barely know like that much about the Infernity, so I can't really comment there. Spellbook of Judgment. No one was really playing this too much at 1. I can't really comment on like a card that was just dominant during a time where I was simply not even playing the game at all. I know what Sprite Starter is, of course. That I'm more familiar with. And yeah, that looks like the end of the list. Ancient Fairy Dragon is still at 1, though. I don't think this needs to be at 1, though, after the errata, personally. I think it's fine to come back to 3 still. So yeah, that's my like real-time reaction to the Forbidden list. I still want to know the reason behind this. Someone who was at one point considering playing the deck and hasn't even really seen the deck like dominate recently. I really want to know the reason why.